Lately, I've been contemplating the Scorpio journey, especially as it relates to the current nodal axis in the sky that is affecting all of us at the present moment. South Node Scorpio and the patterns that we are having to face and overcome, outworn patterns, that no longer serve us as a collective or in the collective, and how do we get to the unfamiliar territory of stability, peace, and prosperity represented by the Taurus North Node? And what occurred to me, and some of you may have heard before in my previous videos, but I have mentioned that Scorpio is the only sign in the zodiac with three symbols: the scorpion, the phoenix, and the eagle. More importantly, I have talked about the co-rulers, the planetary co-rulers of Scorpio, Mars and Pluto. But I have added the one that I feel represents the eagle. So I have personally been contemplating the idea that Mars is associated with Scorpion, the ego, Pluto associated with the phoenix, and Sedna with the eagle. And what occurred to me is that Scorpios and the Scorpio journey requires great patience, great fortitude, a very strong will to survive no matter what is thrown at you. And the first planet and the first symbol, Mars, representing the scorpion, which represents the ego and the ego's need to control. Mars is the planet of impulsivity and impatience. It wants results now. It wants to go make it happen and to, do what it can to change circumstances, to take action and change circumstances to create a better outcome. But usually the attachment to outcome is the ego's downfall. And that's what brings us to the second symbol, the phoenix. Pluto, in its correlation to the phoenix, is about the death and rebirth cycle. And what is dying is exactly what the ego has become attached to. And mainly that has to do with control, wanting to control external circumstances and our situation in order to feel safe, in order to feel safe, in order to hide also our vulnerability. So Pluto's job is basically to put us in situations where we can no longer rely on stability, and the ego has to learn to die to a greater force. But what I find interesting is that Mars is very close to the Earth, and so it wants speedy results. Pluto, up until the time that Sedna was discovered, Pluto was known as the planet furthest from Earth, with an orbit of 248 years. So as Pluto, with our co-ruler, we Scorpios have had to learn great patience, and we have had to kind of make our ego or human needs secondary to the greater good, to the good of the greater society. So then we come to Sedna and the eagle, which is, yes, another initiation. It is another initiation where we have to recognize that service to the greater good and truly doing the inner work and bringing, being willing to navigate the darkest recesses of the psyche where the shadow resides and shine a light in the dark and place that vulnerability, the vulnerability of the shadow, on the altar of the Almighty. That's the only way that we can truly embody the power that is bestowed upon us, because Scorpio, more than any other sign, is about learning the correct use of power, learning to wield power with integrity. And if we are coming from the ego, we cannot do that. We have to come from a purer place. So Sedna is, while it does take us to deeper places, even than we thought, even deeper places and more intense places than Pluto took us, Sedna also provides us with the resolution, which is finding the current of source that allows us to glide, to soar, to relax from the endless death and rebirth cycle of the phoenix, so that we can rely upon source, the almighty creator. Just surrender to that energy and be at peace and find a peace like we've never known before. And while I am sharing this contemplation and these thoughts with you from the perspective and context of my own life, I also believe that it applies very poignantly to what is happening in the collective right here and now. As we finish up the nodal cycle in Scorpio and Taurus, which will complete in July of this year. But we still have some initiations to go through. And the trick, I believe, it's not a trick, but the key to really maintaining that peace that passes all understanding is to acknowledge fully our vulnerabilities, to allow the full range of human emotion to be experienced, to be expressed in a healthy way, to receive healing wherever and however we can, and to become the master of our own emotional responses. So I encourage you, in whatever capacity you resonate with this message, I encourage you to take your shadow issues, your vulnerabilities, your triggers to the altar of the Almighty every day, and realize that when you do that, you are contributing to the healing on the collective soul level for the greater good of humanity and all living beings on this planet. And those are my thoughts that I wanted to share. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting my channel. And until next time, I wish you well. This is Jennifer.